Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content. Thank
Hello. Oh, I'm always here to give some insight and thought on our world and the things that are going on in our world, right? Let's start with this one fatal truth that we have to come to. This president lied to us. I mean, and we get lies by most presidents. Most presidents are going to lie about certain things. They're going to lie about their agenda. They're going to lie about their, what they plan to do. They're going to lie about. Most presidents will. But this is a blatant lie, and a very dangerous lie, right? A very dangerous lie. He promised peace. He promised restraint. He promised to end unnecessary wars. He told us that America would no longer be dragged into foreign conflicts. He promised that when American soil was never attacked. He said diplomacy would guide our actions, right? Not bombs. He even promoted himself to get the peace plan. He promoted himself to get the peace plan. The Nobel Peace Prize. He even touted that he was going to try to get the Nobel Peace Prize. He said he would prioritize protecting American lives, civilians, the allies, and our own people first. But what has happened since then? What we are witnessing is a profound betrayal of every single one of those commitments that he made to us. Every one of those commitments that he made to us. What's going on, y'all? This is what he said.
Common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have things.
Instead of
a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have things be good, safe. We want great education. We want a strong and powerful military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars. 4 years we had no wars, except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time, but we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
He said he was going to stop wars. This is what we believed, right? See, I don't believe things just happen. And I don't think things just happened.
Of course, he'll cause a war. He'll cause a war. They'll look at him, the way he talks, he'll cause a war. I say, no, the way I talk, I'll stop wars. I'm the only president in 72 years that didn't start a war. The only one. No, we didn't, but we finished wars. We finished ISIS and a lot of others. We got out of Syria. We got out of Iraq. Remember Hillary? She said, he'll cause.
And this is where we at. This is where we are at. We were told we would not get pulled back into any more wars. Where are we at, people? Where are we at? Look at this. No new wars. What is this? No new wars. What is this? United States bombed Iran, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Venezuela, Nigeria. And you're surprised why the entire world has a problem with us. We have a problem. We were told that we weren't going to get pulled back into any more wars. We were told that. No war after war after war after war. This is the first year, people. This is the first year. And all of this has happened in the first year. We were told that military action would only be taken when the United States was directly threatened. That promise is not there. Obliterated, replaced with a foreign policy that looks no different from the endless wars from prior administrations, from the Obama wars, from the Biden war, from the George Bush wars. No different from that. Make no mistake, this is not a coincidence. These conflicts, these raids, these strikes, they were planned long before he got into the Oval Office. He just lied to you. He just lied to you. By the time the president took office or took his oath, military operations were already in motion across the Middle East, Africa, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Nigeria. These were not spontaneous emergencies. They were a part of a long-term strategy already decades in the making, designed by generations of generals, planners, and intelligence agencies. They knew this was the system he inherited. Of course, he inherited it, but yet he leaned into it. He leaned into it and he expanded it and told us a story about peace while the machinery of war kept rolling on and on. Let's take that first example, shall we? Broken promises on Middle East peace and Gaza ceasefire. Broken promises. During the campaign, he said he would broker peace in the Middle East, in the war in Gaza, protect the civilians, stop the destruction and the death. And what do we have right now? 2025, this year, the United States announced a Gaza ceasefire. Really? He touted that as a peace deal between Israel and Hamas. But for many of us, this is not a peace deal. This is a temporary pause. Violence and death in Gaza continues. Civilians still suffer. The world still watches as injustice continues. Campaign promises were about real peace, not this fake shit. What was delivered is a band-aid on an open wound already there while lives continue to be lost over there in Gaza. The American people who were told this would be different feel betrayed. That's not the first one, but this is the latest one. Next, Nigeria. And expanding military action in Nigeria. Not long after he said those promises, American forces carried out airstrikes in Nigeria against military groups, ISIS, Boko Haram. Let's be clear. We all want to dismantle extremist groups. No argument there, okay? But campaign promises were about avoiding military engagement abroad unless directly necessary to defend Americans. So Nigeria, there was no threat to the United States, not one. Yet bombs fell and Americans were pulled further into a growing military footprint abroad. Christmas morning, we wake up to the president bombing Nigeria. No, I'm sorry, the day after Christmas. Day after Christmas, yes. Or he bombed on Christmas, but we found out the day of after Christmas, right? This is pre-planned. This was a pre-planned escalation masked as necessity. It was already planned. It's been in the making. Syria. bombing, airstrikes, military casualties. Then came Operation Hawkeye strike in Syria. Over 70 sites attacked. This was framed as retaliation against the deaths of American soldiers, was it not? But here's the truth. This was not a conflict begun by an attack on American soil. This was not the war Americans were promised. It deepened, excuse me, it deepened our U.S. engagement in the region where we said we wanted you to withdraw from. Number 4, and I'm just going down the list. Abandon Ukraine against Russian aggression. Another promise, unwavering support for Ukraine. That is the promise that we made to Ukraine against Russia. Stand firmly against Russian aggression, protect our allies. But as of 2025, support has been inconsistent. Russia presses, Russia presses on by more invasion. Ukraine faces renewed challenges, and our allies see United States as shaky in their commitment. I don't know what the hell is going on. We cannot depend on this presidency to do the right thing for these people.
I'm going to stop wars. No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace.
We bombed Somalia.
Al-Shabaab and ISIS terror.
No, I have too many comments. You want a comment to be read? You need to put it in a super chat. If you don't, then you don't. That's the way it works.
We bombed Yemen.
Terrorist Houthis.
We bombed Syria.
ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
We bombed Lebanon.
No, that was Israel.
Helped bomb Gaza.
Again, that was Israel.
Threatened to go to war with Mexico.
Against criminal cartels.
Threatened to annex Canada.
Yeah, jokingly saying that they should become the 51st state.
We threatened to invade Greenland.
Trump not ruling out military force because a journalist asked him, isn't it a threat to invade Greenland?
We bombed Venezuela.
We bombed narco-terrorists at sea.
Bombing Nigeria.
That's a straight-up lie, and we've actually given them aid.
Threatening to bomb Colombia.
Lie. He just cut aid.
Sent a paramilitary mass Gestapo Nazi unit to all 50 states of the United States of America.
Is the Gestapo in the room with us, Chris? Yeah, sending in ICE to enforce the law is far from the Gestapo.
Donald Trump bombed California.
Now you're straight up just making shit up. And look, none of those things you named are a war that Trump has got us into. I don't think Valenti understands what peace through strength means. Why don't you tag him in the comments and let him know?
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Hey, I hate that damn music every time that music comes up. Come on, get out of there.
Supposed to be able to declare war and like cause military strikes, but I guess Congress gave that power away now since Trump seems to be able to just bomb whoever he wants with no congressional approval or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, Trump should be being impeached right now just from what we've seen in these files. But that's not going to happen because the Republicans don't actually care what he did to children. Nobody cares, apparently. The Congress is not even like in session right now. So what are we going to do about this? I know that if I make suggestions of what I think we should do about this, then I'll get a strike on my video and it'll get muted or taken down or something like that. So I can't suggest my ideas. But what do you think we should do?
He keeps bragging. He ended 8 wars. Cool story. Name one. Oh, wait. Dumpy loves to say he ended 8 wars, but historically, factually, in reality, he did not end a single war. During his terms, no wars ended, not one. Instead, he escalated multiple conflicts. Remember when he assassinated Iranian General Soleimani without congressional authorization? It almost started a regional war. Then he claims he ended Syria while literally abandoning Kurdish allies to be slaughtered by Turkey. He claims he ended Iraq while expanding airstrikes. He claims he ended Afghanistan even though the withdrawal happened under Biden. Dumpy takes credit for imaginary accomplishments the way he takes credit for Melania's oxygen intake. It's delusional. And now he's claiming to be the peace candidate while openly cheering on the bombing of civilians in Gaza. Arsonists don't get to call themselves firefighters, and Dumpy doesn't get to call himself a peacemaker.
Trump apparently initially planned to go to war with Mexico, but when justification for that evaporated, he decided on Venezuela. With many saying that's further evidence that Trump just wants a war. He doesn't care with who, as long as it's not his buddy Putin. And reportedly, they were so bought in on the idea of a war with Mexico that they deployed the Marines to the border. They started drone intelligence gathering in both Gulfs, and they began using special forces in the country. Right back in May, Trump asked Sheinbaum if he could deploy troops to Mexico, and as late as August, they were reportedly planning strike packages to hit Mexico with. Also, another aspect of this is if you remember back to the beginning of 2025, Trump was talking about how you can't have elections if there's a war. But once the Mexican military was enabled by their government to conduct operations, the wind reportedly got taken out of the U.S.'s sails. And that is apparently how they ended up bombing random boats in the Caribbean, and maybe we're on the verge of a regime change war in Venezuela. Though with that, a new analysis or a war on the rocks, it's found that while the Venezuelan military is weak and would almost certainly lose a confrontation with the U.S. military, they can become quite dangerous in resistance. Or with a military that's designed to survive the first blows from the United States and then dig in and bleed America politically through guerrilla warfare. And that's all while Trump is pretty much saying that this war is about oil. And so you've got this question of, are people really going to tolerate body bags coming home for a resource that we produce the most of in the world? And while Venezuela appears to be betting no, follow to stand.
This is not a drill. Canada is preparing for a possible war against the United States and Russia. They are building up a civilian army of 300,000 strong. They are observing what the United States is doing to Venezuela right now and how Trump is using the same language as Putin used against Ukraine, as Trump is using with Venezuela, as Trump has used with Canada, right? Putin saying this is our historical territorial land, and Putin's pretext with Ukraine was to make up, I'm here to do denazification, which everyone's like, what the hell is he talking about? But that's how authoritarians think. Donald Trump is now saying with respect to Venezuela that they stole our land, they stole our oil. He's saying that they're shipping fentanyl and killing Americans when there's no fentanyl coming out of Venezuela. This is the same language that Donald Trump has used against Canada. 51st state is a threat. We're going to take you over. And just like the language Donald Trump is using with Venezuela, when it comes to Canada, Donald Trump saying the people of Canada are killing the people in the United States by sending over the fentanyl, and that this, if you look at this border, these are our lands and this border is just arbitrary and we should be able to take it over. That's the language of war. And I think people in Canada, their military forces leaders, are seeing what Sergei Lavrov is saying. And they know Sergei Lavrov, who's Vladimir Putin's, top foreign minister, is out there saying right now, we are already in World War III. That's the language that Russians are using. We're in World War III right now. And the question is where's the United States in this World War III dynamic? At least, we know where Europe stands and Canada stands and Australia stands, and the U.S. seems to be taking the side of Putin. So let me just show you. I think this is how the people of Canada see it. The leader of Midas Canada, Charlie Angus, I think he covered this in detail, and I want to share with what he just told me.
What's up, America? Donald Trump attacks Yemen. Yes, that's right. Donald Trump said he's sick of Yemen attacking American and Western ships, and so now he's attacking Yemen. He just got done attacking the Yemeni capital of Sana'a, and he says he's going to continue until they stop, saying their attacks on American vessels are unacceptable. Also saying that Joe Biden basically was stupid and didn't do anything to stop the attacks, and that that's going to end. And if it doesn't end, that we will, quote, rain holy fire or holy hell or whatever it is he said on the Yemeni capital. So that's happening right now. Might want to go check that out. All the major news organizations are talking about this. It's kind of out of nowhere, but also kind of expected. And the reason I say that is because, well, Yemen's been attacking American and British and Israeli ships and all those types of things, even Panamanian ones, for quite a long time, years actually. So why are they allowed to attack ships and then disrupt commerce throughout the world? I think that's kind of bullshit.
We've got some troubling, though unsurprising news. It appears that the story that Trump has told regarding his recent military strikes in Nigeria is not lining up with the reality on the ground. Trump has framed these U.S. missile strikes as an attack against ISIS, but Nigerians in a quiet farming village say that missiles struck where they lived and that there's no history of ISIS at all in the area. This is the reality right now in Jabo. It's a small village in northwestern Nigeria. And according to this new report from CNN, which I recommend you read, the villagers say that a U.S. missile debris slammed into the ground just meters from their only medical clinic without any warning or explanation. Residents say they heard a massive blast, they saw flames, and then they ran for their lives. One man told CNN that they couldn't sleep all night because they had never experienced anything like this. Trump later took to social media and he bragged about it. He called the strike a, quote, Christmas present for terrorists, claiming that it targeted ISIS militants attacking Christians. But local leaders say that Jabo has no known ISIS presence, no religious conflict. Christians and Muslims live peacefully side by side there. A Nigerian lawmaker confirmed that the village has no history of terrorist activity and said the strike caused fear and chaos, even though luckily no one was physically hurt. Nigeria's government later said the strike targeted a different area and that debris simply fell on Jabo. And even Nigeria's foreign minister said that this wasn't a religious issue at all, despite the fact that Trump keeps framing it that way. Experts say that conflicts like the one on the ground in Nigeria are the result of deep-rooted security problems and governance failures and have nothing to do with religion. So once again, innocent civilians are left traumatized as Trump tries to take this victory lap and lie to the American people and, well, the entire world. We'll keep on reporting the news, so spread the word and follow.
Since August, Trump has recently been stating that he
ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever.
But what wars is he talking about? Political analysts and news outlets have concluded that these 7 instances over Trump's first and second term are the alleged wars Trump is referring to. Serbia and Kosovo. Trump pushed for talks between Serbia and Kosovo during his first term, with talks hosted at the White House, aiming to normalize economic relations. While efforts were made, a comprehensive agreement remains to be seen. Egypt and Ethiopia. During his first term, Trump attempted to mediate the dispute between Egypt and Ethiopia over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Nile. No deal was reached, and the conflict remains diplomatic in nature. India and Pakistan. In May, India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire following cross-border missile and drone strikes over Kashmir. Pakistan credited the Trump administration for its role in facilitating talks, while India attributed the agreement to its own diplomatic efforts. Israel and Iran. Trump claimed credit for brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, facilitated with U.S. and Qatari involvement. Trump stated that he had ordered airstrikes on Iran's uranium enrichment sites and pressured Israel to hold back from any further military action. The ceasefire, however, was short-lived. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo reached a peace deal in June following negotiations in Washington, mediated by President Trump and Qatar. Thailand and Cambodia. After fighting erupted between Thailand and Cambodia in late July, Trump applied trade pressure on both sides to reach a ceasefire. While hostilities subsided, border disputes remain unresolved. Armenia and Azerbaijan. Trump helped negotiate a framework agreement aimed at normalizing relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, inviting both leaders to the White House in August. However, the declaration simply emphasizes the need to continue efforts towards signing a final ratification and agreement. What do you think of Trump's claim? Let us know in the comments.
United States launching airstrikes on Iran. We are now learning it was called Operation Midnight Hammer. The president watching the mission unfold from the Situation Room following the meeting with his national security team. It comes a little more than a week after Israel's surprise attack on Iran aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear program.
And the U.S. B-2 stealth bombers hitting 3 sites in Iran considered crucial to the country's nuclear program, including its uranium enrichment facilities, and using 14 massive 30,000-pound bombs for the very first time, designed to penetrate deep underground and destroy the country's heavily protected operations. operations. President Trump calling it a spectacular success.
The U.S. strike follows nearly 50 years of antagonism between the two governments after Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979, and it follows decades of warnings from Israel that Iran was on the verge of making nuclear weapons. A news conference was held just moments ago from the Pentagon. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealing the complicated details of this mission that included deception, decoys, and incredible secrecy, saying that Iran's nuclear program has been obliterated. He called the strike bold and brilliant and emphasized how proud he is. We have team coverage of the extraordinary events unfolding this morning, beginning with ABC's Ian Pannell in Tel Aviv. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Janae. This is one of the impact sites for the Iranian barrage on Israel. We're in northern Tel Aviv, just a few hours after America struck 3 nuclear sites inside Iran. This, as you can see, was a residential complex. No military targets here.
This morning, in the wake of U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, Iran launching a barrage of missiles at Israel. A military official telling ABC 20 to 30 were fired. At least 19 people injured in the attacks, missiles landing in 4 areas in the country. In the port city of Haifa, rescuers searching for survivors in this damaged building. And we were in Tel Aviv as the alert sounded.
The air raid siren has just started to sound. We're getting reports that Iran has fired ballistic missiles.
At least one of those missiles making a direct hit in the city. First responders scrambling to the scene. Residential buildings reduced to rubble. We went there too.
This was Iran's response to American bombing of 3 nuclear sites inside the country. Within a few hours, the sirens rang, the bombs landed, and you can see the chaos here on the ground as Israel starts to count the numbers injured and the numbers killed.
Iran claiming it targeted the main airport and a biological research center. President Trump announcing the U.S. military struck 3 nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, calling the attack very successful. ABC News geolocating this video showing flashes of light and distant explosions in the direction of the Isfahan nuclear facility. The operation carried out by multiple B-2 bombers, according to U.S. officials. The B-2s are capable of flying more than 40 hours and refueling mid-air. They're also the only aircraft that can drop the 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator bombs, known as bunker busters, considered the best chance of penetrating Iran's deep underground nuclear facilities.
Look at this. These promises that were made, these were promises. He said directly, we would not get involved with these kind of conflicts. This is not merely a foreign policy complexity. We see a pattern. This is a pattern. We are in our first year with this president. Peace promises, airstrikes delivered, restraint promised, military footprints expanded, support for allies promised, inconsistent actions taken, avoiding of entanglements promised, discussions of regime change underway in Venezuela, and all of this under the first year, a pattern of this every year. We did not ask for this. It's important to understand the machinery of war does not start with a president. These things were already planned. He lied. He said he was not going to get into conflict. In the beginning, he knew when he got in office, he was going to do this. He knew he was going to do this. These things are planned. We have had too many conflicts this year for this to be happenstance. This stuff just didn't, okay, I wake up and we want to bomb people. No, these things have been planned. This president planned this. His people have planned this. He lied from the beginning. He knew he was going into war. This stuff don't start with just one president. This was planned. Operations were pre-authorized, strategies long established, already put on the table. Trump may have inherited Yemen, Syria, Iraq, whatever. He did not create these conflicts. We get all that. But he accelerated those conflicts. He legitimized these conflicts. He lied when he promised that they would end. The American people were never given a choice. We were never given a choice. He already knew he was going to do this. The war machine kept moving, and he went right along with it. And the voters told us it was something new. It wasn't never nothing new. It has always been something. It has always been something that was there. Okay. So this leadership is not about matching the words with what you said. No, this is the direct lie. This was the direct violation of what you said. Promises of peace must result in peace, not escalation. Okay. Not escalation. Claims of support must translate into consistent action. That has not happened. Assurances of restraint must constrain military engagement, but that has not happened. The words have contradicted the deeds, and trust is eroded right here. Even if we took everything this president did as a plus, even if we said this president did everything as a plus, he still lied about this. He still lied about this particular thing. And this is something that maybe you guys don't care. I guess you don't care about being lied to. I guess people don't care about being lied to. Certain people care about being lied to, specifically about this. Specifically about this. Okay? No. You come up with excuse after excuse, disregarding what this president said. Sometimes you got to stand on it. Sometimes you got to stand on it. Okay? Sometimes you got to stand on this shit. Why are we still involved in foreign wars after we got promised that they would end? Why are we paying for conflicts that do not protect our soil? Do not come America first. This is what we mean by America first. This is what we mean by America first. You broke the promise to keep America first. Why was support for Ukraine so inconsistent? We promised them consistency, and now it's inconsistent. What you're supposed to do? Why are we entangled in the Middle East with no peace in sight? And we're probably going back in. We're probably going back in somewhere. Okay? These questions are not fringe questions. These questions are not out of the ordinary. This is not no deranged talking point. These are real questions. These are mainstream questions. These are everyday frustrations. We deserve the leadership that keeps his word. This president already had all of this in mind already. And y'all okay being lied to. See, I ain't okay being lied to. Y'all okay being lied to. I ain't okay being lied to. Lying straight in your face.
These satellite images taken before the attack at Fordo, capturing the site from above. A US official confirming a number of bunker busters were dropped. And a number of Tomahawk cruise missiles were also fired at targets inside Iran from a US Navy submarine. Now, Iranian authorities and the International Atomic Energy Agency reporting there are no signs of radiation leakage around the three sites, adding residents nearby are safe. In the immediate aftermath of the US bombing, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking President Trump.
History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace.
Israel had been lobbying for US assistance as it launched more attacks on Iran overnight and this morning.
Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people.
Iran's foreign minister responding to the US attacks, calling them outrageous and warning Iran will respond as necessary.
Well, the Iranians vowing revenge, laying the blame on America throughout Israel's bombing campaign for supporting Israel. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces have been speaking, saying they need to do a battlefield assessment. In other words, work out exactly how successful the US bombing was. They were asked whether or not Iran had moved this potentially dangerous, highly enriched uranium from the Fordo site that the US bombed. The answer was it's too early to say.
Trump has now deployed National Guard troops into New Orleans, stating they're to remain there through Mardi Gras to support federal law enforcement partners. This, of course, comes on the heels of judges ruling his LA and DC deployments were illegal, and the Supreme Court blocking him from deploying the Guard to Chicago. Unlike previous deployments, however, he does have the support of Louisiana's governor here. But in my opinion, this deployment is just as illegal as all the others. The Trump administration and their supporters claim it's legal so long as the troops are protecting federal property. But I'm here today to make the case that that's incorrect. Because patrolling or guarding property to ensure laws aren't broken on that property is a function of law enforcement. Crowd control is a function of law enforcement. Visible presence to deter crime is a function of law enforcement. The troops may not be arresting people, but they are certainly being used for tasks that are consistent with functions of law enforcement. But that's not all I want to say here. ICE are federal agents with full arrest powers, and they now have a budget larger than many nations' entire militaries. Even local police departments often have more gear than I had in Iraq when I was deployed to a literal war zone. With their massive budget, ICE are fully capable of also having more gear than I had in a literal war zone. They don't need National Guard troops to hold their hands while they break up families. The true purpose of this is to get people used to seeing troops on our streets and to discourage protesters from speaking out against the growing authoritarianism in our country.
We knocked out, I defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. They said it would take 5 years. I did it in a matter of literally a few weeks. Our military in my first 4 years and rebuilt it into the most powerful military there is. And you saw that when I knocked out ISIS in 3 weeks. People said it would take 4 years, 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raising Cane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him.
So somebody help me out. If Trump defeated ISIS 100%, why did he need to attack them yesterday?
Let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back, but they took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Okay, so Donald Trump has confirmed he is on the brink of war with Venezuela because he wants land and oil from Venezuela that he says they stole from us, which is patently untrue. In 2007, Hugo Chavez finished nationalizing Venezuela's oil industry, which was started in 1976 by kicking the last 5 foreign oil companies out of the country, 3 of them being from the United States: Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips. Now, when he did that, he did not steal any land or any oil from the United States. He stole assets, as in equipment, from those companies that had drilling sites on Venezuelan oil fields. And those grievances from the companies that were kicked out illegally of Venezuela were settled in court. Now, Chevron reached its own agreement with Venezuela, and then ExxonMobil was awarded $1.6 billion, and ConocoPhillips was awarded $9 billion for the assets that the Venezuelan government took. But none of the land, none of the oil belonged to the United States at any time or belonged to any American company at any time. They had leasing rights, which Venezuela canceled. And then they were duly compensated for the assets that the government took. This has already been settled by the World Bank's International Center Settlement of Investment Disputes, an international arbitration tribunal, which again awarded ExxonMobil $1.6 billion in 2014 and ConocoPhillips nearly $9 billion in 2019 for the assets that Venezuela took when they nationalized their oil fields. So there is no land. There never was any land or oil that was owned by the United States and Venezuela. There was just some assets and equipment owned by what are essentially multinational oil companies now. I wouldn't even call them American companies. And they have already been compensated for the loss of those assets. And now Donald Trump is on the verge of sending America's young men and women to war in Venezuela for no other reason than to make multi-billion-dollar oil companies even richer. And he's going to risk American lives to do it. It's disgusting. Remember that when you go vote next year.
Yeah, well, the whole point is he's not only going over there to get get oil, he's going over there to do a regime change. You have to go through Congress in order to do a regime change. So he's been building up the excuse to go into Venezuela since the beginning, since he bombed that first boat. That first boat, it was just an excuse. People kept saying, oh, he's trying to save American lives. He don't want no drugs to get to the United States shore. They never would have got to the United States shore. Never would have got to the United States shore. They wasn't planning to come to the United States shore. That was an excuse. Let's start with the little boats. Let's start blowing people up. Let's not bring no evidence back. Let's just pretend like these people were bringing drugs over here when they weren't. Let's just pretend like they were doing that. So we have an excuse. We do it for a couple of months. We break some boats off. We kill some people, drug dealers. Let's just sink the boat. We ain't worried about the drugs. And then we'll get the American people on our side, because you got goofies who believe that there was drugs in all of those boats. So if you got American people on your side, you got the American people on your side. Oh, y'all, he was bringing drugs over here, y'all. We killing him because he was bringing drugs over here. As long as you got goofies believing that that's why he did that. Why he blew up them boats. He blew up them boats so he could do regime change. He knew if he asked for regime change through Congress, Congress is going to tell him no. You ain't going to get to have regime change and not have to go through Congress. So he didn't want to go through Congress. So he just said, okay, let's start killing all the people in the boats. Let's make an excuse to go in there. Let's make an excuse, a drug dealing excuse. And it's not necessarily around about oil. It's about oil. We love the oil. He loved the oil. You see, he confiscated a tanker and decided he wasn't going to get the oil back, right? It's really about regime change, getting him out of there. There's already a leader waiting to take over for Venezuela, and that leader has agreed to whatever President Trump has put into place with them. She's going to give the oil or whatever up just so she can have the protection of the United States. Please get us out of poverty, blah, 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 and we will give you some of the oil reserves and blah, blah, blah. It's all in the works, and it's all been in the works because this president lied to us from the beginning. This is not a surprise. None of this is a surprise. It was already planned.
So the State Department is now claiming that Donald Trump has ended 7 wars in 7 months. And they even put out this nice little graphic that gives us a list. We're going to go through each one and see how much truth there is, but I think the first thing that's worth pointing out is that noticeably absent from this list is the war in Ukraine and the war in Gaza. 2 of the largest wars in the world today, and ones that Donald Trump made a campaign promise that he would end very quickly and has yet to do so. But now, starting off the list, we have Cambodia and Thailand. There was absolutely a hot conflict going on between the two, dozens were killed, and hundreds of thousands of people were displaced. It's also worth noting that the fighting began during Trump's administration. Not that I think that Trump caused it, but I definitely remember wars happening on a president's watch was a criticism levied at the Biden administration, so just want to be consistent. But there has since been a ceasefire brokered between Cambodia and Thailand. The talks were held in Malaysia, and the United States was a part of that. So was China. I don't know if we'd say that China ended the war, but if that's how we're counting it, I guess that's one for Trump. Next, we have Kosovo and Serbia. This one is pretty straightforward. The 2 countries were not at war. Trump himself has even implicitly acknowledged that, saying that he stopped them from going to war. Even that is a little dubious, but regardless, I don't think we can call a war ending. Next, Congo, Rwanda. Some very fighting between you and foreign ministers did meet to sign a, but instead, does has so and really
now it's become obvious. Hold on. This is Hegseth.
Mr. Secretary, as the chairman has said, this is a dangerous moment. As we speak, missiles are striking cities across Israel and Iran, threatening to ignite a regional war. There should be no doubt that for the safety of the United States and the rest of the world, Iran cannot acquire a nuclear weapon. However, Prime Minister Netanyahu's decision to preemptively launch a war with Iran against the urging of the president threatens the stability of the entire region and the safety of Americans stationed there. The Trump administration must take urgent steps to prevent a wider war. Mr. Secretary, I would ask you to be crystal clear this morning about the administration's posture toward Iran. More broadly, Russia continues its bloody assault on Ukraine, unmoved by President Trump's negotiating tactics, and China is threatening our allies in the Indo-Pacific as America once again redirects its attention to the Middle East. This is a moment that requires leadership, expertise, and confidence from the Department of Defense. And Mr. Secretary, I am concerned, frankly, that these qualities have been eroded under your leadership. In your opening statement, you write, quote, "At the Department of Defense, we are sweeping away distractions to focus on our core mission of warfighting," close quote. I'm a bit skeptical. Since you were sworn in, much of the Pentagon has been in disarray. You have purged thousands of defense experts, gutted oversight offices, and surrounded yourself with hand-picked loyalists. You have fired a number of our most accomplished generals and admirals with no explanation, no replacement. Your chief of staff, several top policy advisors, and chief spokesmen have all either resigned or been fired. This is a legitimate problem for our national defense. Much of the Pentagon seems to have been paralyzed by infighting and stripped of expert staff at a time when we need stability and professionalism. Mr. Secretary, you must address this so the rest of the department can be laser focused on their missions. I'm also concerned about your forays into diplomacy. The Secretary must be a capable statesman, especially in this dangerous global environment. During your first official trip to Europe, you made unfortunate mistakes, including by accidentally conceding America's negotiating leverage to Russia when you announced, quote, we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's 2014 borders is an unrealistic objective, and, quote, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. The State Department walked back your comments, but I worry that they cost us lasting credibility during peace negotiations and with our European allies. And Mr. Secretary, I hope you've learned from these episodes. The key to our long-run success against China, Russia, and Iran and others depend on our ability to equip our forces with the ships, aircraft, and weapons needed to effectively deter them or, if necessary, defeat them. Mr. Secretary, you have said that readiness is your top priority, but I'm concerned by a number of actions you have taken that seem to distract from readiness. For example, you're in the process of firing 8% of the defense workforce, or 75,000 employees, and you recently gutted the Office of the Director of Operational Tests and Evaluation, which is responsible for testing new weapons and platforms for warfighters. You have argued that these cuts were needed to eliminate wasteful spending, but you have simultaneously pledged hundreds of millions of dollars to convert a second-hand Qatari jet to be Air Force One. These decisions do not seem to align with readiness. Similarly, over the past 2 weeks, you have ordered 4,700 National Guard troops and Marines into Los Angeles against the will of the governor and mayor. These forces are in addition to the 13,000 troops you have deployed to the southern border and separate from the 20,000 National Guard troops requested by DHS to help ICE conduct, quote, interior immigration efforts. As a consequence, military units have to cancel their national training center rotations and waste invaluable hours and resources performing DHS activities unrelated to their warfighting missions. I cannot imagine a faster way to erode military readiness and distract from our ability to deter China, Russia, and Iran. You also claim that merit is the only measure of performance under your leadership. That is a worthy principle. However, you refuse to explain you fired many of our most senior military officers, including the Chief of Naval Operations and the Commander of Cyber Command. All of these positions remain unfilled, which weakens our military. As importantly, these officers were fired without any justification, indeed without considering merit, which creates the worst possible outcome for a military force. Fear throughout the ranks that one should not speak up, should not refuse an illegal order, and should not call out abuse, no question decisions. I fear that last week's disturbing display of partisanship at President Trump's event at Fort Bragg is an example of this. Mr. Secretary, I hope you understand the grave risk of politicizing the military and that you will commit to preventing it.
See, the peril and the conflict that we face under this administration is not only abroad, okay? It's here at home. While our soldiers are being sent into foreign conflicts, American citizens are also seeing military and federal forces deployed against them in their own cities too. From California to Chicago, we have witnessed the presence of federal agents and militarized tactics directed at our fellow Americans, citizens who have committed no acts of war against our nation, who are exercising their rights and seeking their voices to be heard. If I was a gang member, I'd have my ass in the house every day. I would not even engage with nobody on the street. I guess that may have been the whole point of it. Okay. The whole point is these deployments are not about defense. They're about intimidation. These military that are on our streets, they're about power and the disregard for the very people the president pledged to serve and protect. We are in a perilous time. At the same time, the administration is undertaking a systematic gutting of a government of career professionals. This is what this minute is talking about right now. The very individuals who ensure continuity, expertise, and accountability are gone. Thousands of experienced civil servants, those who understand the machinery of government, the rules that protect us citizens, and the policies that safeguard our nation have been removed or marginalized. Yet we are already in conflict after conflict after conflict after conflict. We are in a dangerous time, people. We continue to think that we cannot be attacked. Stop thinking that we cannot be attacked.
Finally, you have pledged to be transparent as Secretary of Defense. Yet, to date, you have not held a single press conference at the Pentagon. Instead, you have evicted news outlets from the building, overwhelmingly restricted press access, and searched for leaks within your own staff, even threatening general officers with polygraph tests. This is not transparency, and it is a disservice to the American people who deserve to know what their military is doing. Ultimately, Mr. Secretary, this is a dangerous moment, and you must better demonstrate leadership, expertise, and competence atop the Pentagon. You are the 9th Secretary of Defense I have overseen as a member of this committee. In fact, this is the 26th time I have questioned the Secretary of Defense during their annual posture hearing. I have disagreed with each and every one of them on issues of policy and strategy, some more frequently than others, but I've always been able to work with them openly and earnestly because we shared a common agreement that our national defense supersedes partisanship. It's disappointing so far that we have not been able to establish such a relationship with this committee and with your department. Your candid and honest testimony today can go a long way toward making that possible, and I hope we can make that progress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Reid. At this point, we'll ask our witnesses to summarize their testimony in 5 minutes or shorter. We begin with Secretary Higgs. Sir, welcome to the committee.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ranking Member Reid, distinguished members of the committee,
We're just going to listen to his speech and see, let's see where he lies or tells the truth. Let's just see what's going on. We're just going to listen to his speech.
Appreciate the opportunity to testify in full support of President Trump's proposed fiscal year 26 budget for the Department of Defense. I'm honored to testify alongside General Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and Bryn McDonald, who's performing the duties of DOD's Comptroller and Chief Financial Officer. We are also very proud to represent our warriors and their families. And today, as they do every day, they're keeping our country safe. They're defending our homeland. They're standing up to communist China. They're working hand in glove with our allies and partners. They are achieving peace through strength. I'd like to start by thanking this committee and Congress for your bipartisan leadership to give our troops a big pay raise in 2025. That includes an additional 10% raise for our junior enlisted service members E1 to E4. Thank you for supporting our initiatives that improve quality of life for our warriors and their families. Things that include making historic investments. This budget makes historic investments in living conditions, in barracks, in base housing. This budget reforms the PCS process to reduce the cost and stress of moves for families. We've already seen changes there. And we improve the quality of care provided by our defense healthcare system. The best part of my job is meeting and interacting with troops and their families. We hear their concerns. We know what it's like to face these challenges. I've been there recently. Each of these initiatives responds to feedback that we've gotten from the force. We are listening, and we are always looking for ways to improve quality of life for those who serve. Under President Trump's leadership, this budget puts America first and gives our warriors what they need. The $961.6 billion budget request, more than $1 trillion for national security, will end 4 years of chronic underinvestment in our military. Now, as is custom with first-year administration budget releases, additional time was necessary to implement presidential initiatives. So in the last 4 months, we've moved quickly to reverse course after 4 years of weakness and mismanagement. We found nearly $30 billion in savings across the department. And this savings, if you add this savings to our overall budget, we're increasing the DoD budget in 2026 by $143 billion. We do that by killing wasteful programs, targeting bureaucratic excess, and redirecting funding from Biden-era priorities to President Trump's priorities. We're working with the Department of Homeland Security to increase border security, to reduce China's malign influence in the Western Hemisphere, to defend freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. However, as we would all acknowledge, there's more work to do. I've got 3 core priorities in the department: restore the warrior ethos, rebuild our military, and reestablish deterrence. First, we're restoring the warrior ethos. President Trump has charged me to focus relentlessly on warfighting, lethality, meritocracy, standards, and readiness, and that is exactly what we're doing. We're setting standards that are high, equal, and unwavering. DEI is dead. We replaced it with a colorblind, gender-neutral, merit-based approach, and the force is responding incredibly. Because of President Trump and his America First priorities, recruitment and retention are higher than they've been in decades. Historic surge of young Americans who want to join our military. Second, we're rebuilding our military. 25 years ago, our military was unchallenged, yet we squandered that advantage as China carried out an unprecedented military buildup. President Trump is correcting that. We're reviving our defense industrial base, reforming our acquisitions process, rapidly fielding emerging technologies and new weapons to meet the challenges of the future. This budget invests $25 billion in Golden Dome for America, a down payment on President Trump's priority to defend our homeland. It also commits more than $62 billion to modernize and sustain our nuclear forces as we face rising nuclear dangers. The budget allocates $3.5 billion for the F-47, the world's first 6th-generation air superiority fighter. The budget will revitalize our shipbuilding industrial base with $6 billion in funding in FY26, and that's on top of $47 billion overall for shipbuilding. The budget significantly increases funds to buy next-generation technology, including autonomous systems, long-range drones, long-range fires, and hypersonics. We will put these capabilities in the hands of our warfighters, ensuring we remain the most lethal force in the world for generations to come. And third, we're reestablishing deterrence. When an opponent sees our well-equipped and tough-as-nails warriors, they will decide that today is not the day to test U.S. resolve. Credible deterrence, it starts at home, and it starts with securing our borders. As was mentioned by the chairman, we are working to achieve 100% operational control of the border. Illegal crossings have decreased 99.9%, and it was just reported today that CBP released 0 illegals into the U.S. last month, down from 62,000 released into the interior last May. The Indo-Pacific is our priority theater, and China is our pacing threat. That's why I've traveled twice to that region to visit our forces and meet with our allies and partners. As we shift toward the Indo-Pacific, we're looking more to our allies and partners to be force multipliers alongside the United States, and we're making progress in that. We applaud those allies who are stepping up, but others need to do more and quickly. At the NATO Heads of State meeting next week, we expect NATO allies to commit to spending 5% of GDP on defense and defense-related investment, an almost inconceivable accomplishment when President Trump started that project in his first term. And with NATO stepping up, we now have a new standard for allied defense spending that all of our allies around the world, including in Asia, should move to. As the President has rightly pointed out, it's only fair that our allies and partners do their part. We cannot want their security more than they do.
We will cut to Donald Trump as soon as he starts going live, which is in a few minutes.
The Department of Defense is executing a common sense agenda to achieve peace through strength. We know the threats we face are serious, and so our investments are as well. And that's what this budget does. It matches capabilities to threats. We long for peace, so we prepare for war. We must overcome decades of neglect and decline. We must fortify our position as the world's most lethal fighting force, and we have to act fast because our opponents are. This committee is our critical partner. We appreciate your leadership and oversight, which is essential. And I look forward to accomplishing these goals to achieve peace through strength, support our warriors, protect our citizens and our taxpayers together with you. May God grant us the wisdom to see what is right and the courage to do it. Thank you.
Now, that's Hegseth. Okay, the president is about to go live with Zelensky. We're going to cut to that as soon as he gets there, which is in a few minutes. He's about to go live right now. But we have to be absolutely clear, y'all. We have to be clear. We have been lied to about this war, about any war, maybe even about the Zelensky war. We don't even know. Every promise of restraint, every pledge to avoid entangling the United States in conflicts where American soil was never threatened. Every assurance that our soldiers would only fight when absolutely necessary. All of these assurances have been shattered. From the bombing of Nigeria on Christmas Day to strikes in Syria, supposedly in the name of Israel, to reckless operations against Iran, to the looming threats of intervention in Venezuela. The American people have repeatedly been misled. We just have. Each of these actions was presented as necessity, strategic, defensive, yet none reflects the promises we were given by this president. We are being drawn into wars for foreign interests, for ally agendas. These ain't our agendas. These people are asking us to help. We need to stay the hell out of other people's stuff. And for reasons that remain unclear that we have been lied to about. Okay? All the while being told these actions are in our own best interest, which they are not. Under this administration, the safety of the American people have been compromised because of it. By escalating conflicts abroad, we are not safer. We are more vulnerable. Because now we're acting like we the babysitter. Now we're acting like we in charge of everybody. Now we're acting like we are the big dogs on the yard. And what happens when you act like you're the big dog on the yard? People come for you. People start to come for you. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like and share and subscribe button, please, and thank you. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. If you want to comment, read, or anything else, you need to put it in super chat because I don't know all of this. I don't read any of those things. I just do a presentation, right? We are more vulnerable because when you the big dog on the yard, somebody gonna come for you. See, I'm one of those people that are underdog. When I see you the big dog on the yard and I see you doing shit you ain't got no business, I'm going to come for you regardless of whether I'm going to win or not, but I'm going to come for you and I'm going to get other people to come for you. And this is what we're afraid of. You're going to have people coming for him, coming for us because we're acting like the big dogs on the yard, right? Iran, Syria, Nigeria are now flashpoints where American lives and resources are at risk. The Middle East is destabilized further. Tensions with Venezuela and the Caribbean are mounting, and even our neighbors like Canada worry about the potential fallout and whether they're going to be attacked. The world no longer sees the United States as measured and cautious. Okay? They don't see us as no safe haven. People getting kicked out, people getting called names, people getting called other, people getting trashed because they're from a foreign country. This country is not safe for a lot of people. It just is what it is. And this administration made it that way. It's less safe than it was a year ago. Less safe. That's crazy. People, when the president comes in, you're supposed to be protected. You're supposed to feel safe. I swear to God, even though Biden may have been googly mind out of his mind, I felt safer under him. That's for sure. I felt safer under him than any other president in any of our time, because he was predictable. We knew what he was going to do. We knew he wasn't trying to be in no wars. We knew he was trying to do the right thing for the American people. We can't trust this person. The world no longer sees the United States as a measured or cautious country. It sees this country is being led by an administration that acts impulsively, inconsistently, and recklessly. This danger is compounded by the incompetence of the goddamn administration itself anyway. Political appointees with little to no experience have been placed in positions of enormous responsibility. Career professionals have been sidelined or removed, and the systems that should ensure accountability and measured decision-making have been weakened and taken off the board. This man right here you see on the screen, really? You trust this drunk? You trust this failed husband, trustworthy human being? Really? We this is what we put our hands in. We put the military in the hands of this human being right here. But hey, that's y'all DEI hire. It ain't no DEI hire. You just got to be assured of that. You got to be assured of that. He is competent to take the job. This is what happens when you take DEI out of the equation. You get goofy, stupid people like this running our State Department. Running our Secretary of Defense, our Defense Department. This is what we get right here. Our Secretary of Defense and other top officials entrusted with the gravest responsibilities of national security, Lord have mercy, have repeatedly failed to provide clarity, oversight, or principled guidance. Everybody can see that. No, real true Viking, don't get mad. Don't get mad at what you hear. You need to grow up. Grow the hell up. My channel need to be banned because I say what I want to say. Y'all goofy. Y'all goofy as hell. That's called banning freedom of speech, and they're not going to do that. So shut your ass up. The result is the White House, where impulsive decisions are made, coercion by allies, pardons are bought, and inadequate expertise dictate matters of war and peace. Hey, Renee is love, with consequences that could be catastrophic to all of us. Meanwhile, the president has deployed troops against American citizens, which is one of the things I cannot stand. Well, I mean, it's amazing. You feel safer because you got the goofy person that you want in charge. You got the unstable human being that's in charge. When you used to being doing unstable shit, that would be for y'all. The rest of us ain't used to unstable shit. No, nobody wants to debate you because there's nothing to debate. Your president is trashy. There's nothing to debate. Your president lied to us. There's nothing to debate. Ain't no debating to it. He lied. You saw the presentation when I opened up. I opened up to him saying we weren't going to do any kind of wars. And yet here we are. This administration is unstable. The people that are, the Somalis don't feel stable. The Haitians don't feel stable. The Hispanic people don't feel stable. Some white people don't feel stable. The gay people don't feel stable. Here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Let's go. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Here we go.
Food, or you consider that a bribe, and therefore you cannot write honestly, or therefore you have to write a bad story. Okay, because if you'd like, would you like something to eat at this time? Yes or no? You can speak. Yes? Okay. Margot, take them outside, tell the chef, serve them a little lunch, okay?
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
We cannot be complacent. We cannot accept these lies as normal. Impulsive foreign wars as inevitable, or incompetence as tolerable. Incompetence as tolerable. We don't need to have a discussion about what's incompetent and what's not. You all know what's incompetent and you all know what's not. Nobody needs to even have that conversation with you all. You should know that. We all should know that. The stark truth is we got to figure out how we're going to be safe in this administration, which means we have to keep these people accountable for the things they say and the things they do. Every unprovoked strike, every abandoned ally, every coerced foreign engagement chips away at our security, okay? Our credibility and our global standing. It just has. We're at the mercy of this administration that ignores the lessons of history, sidesteps campaign promises, and treats war as a tool for expediency rather than a measure of last resort. This is wild. And so the American people must insist on accountability. We got to. We must demand truth from these leaders. We must insist that our military is used to defend our nation, not serve foreign agendas or political whims. We must recognize the peril reality that the lies we have been told about going to war have placed us all in great danger, both abroad and at home. The time for complacency is over. The time to hold this administration to accountable is now. It just is right now. And let's hope everybody's willing to do that. Because every time I talk to people, they don't want to hold this president accountable. So therefore, the rest of us have to suffer. Whatever goes on, the rest of us have to suffer. Before y'all leave, I'm putting this on the screen. I've been putting this on the screen for the past couple of days. This concludes my wait a minute. This concludes it, but I want you guys to wait a minute. Where the hell is that desk thing? Something on the desk? Hold on. Let me see if I can get it come right on the desk. Nope, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Shit. Well, I guess I can't get it on there. I was gonna present that BMG, the thing I always present, you know, about money. Wait a minute. It's on the desktop. Why won't it come on and share the screen? Okay, I guess I can't do it. Okay. Wait a minute, hold on. Maybe. Wait a minute, here's it. Oh no. So I can't put it on here. So I appreciate you. I hope you all hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button. I appreciate you all coming out because I have this content that happens every day. This is the one about being lied to. So right now they're having the lunch with Zelensky, so they might come out and have something else. So I might come out and say something else after they come out and say something else. So Jamin 2076, I appreciate the super stick for 99 cents. I appreciate it. And probably will be back later on. If not, we may not be, but we may be. I appreciate all of you coming out. I appreciate it.